I want to share a little story with you that I think is useful and beneficial. If we haven't met before, g'day, my name is Peter. I'm 57 years old and I've worked for the same software company for the last 28 years. Recently, the company was sold to a large corporation out of Canada. They've got something like 1,000 companies on their books. So that meant the retirement of our CEO. And more recently, a couple of very long-serving employees who I've had a relationship with for about 25 years. And today's discussions around our axe-throwing breakup party highlighted just how quickly we are all forgotten when we leave. A lot of us pin our identity on what we do. We are what we do. What really stood out to me today was not the conversations we had about the changing face of the company that many of us have served for so long, but it was the absence of conversations around those who've recently departed. Two of the longest serving employees who I've worked with for the last couple of decades were recently let go, despite their extraordinary performance in their roles. And it was because they didn't fit with the vision that the new owners had for the company going forward. And what really stood out to me today was how no one was talking about any of them. Now, this could be because they fear for their own jobs and they don't want to stir the pot. But I think it's more because once you leave a role in a company, everybody just gets back to business. People are replaced, or they're just simply no longer required because, as was the case with two of the employees who recently left, they're not part of the vision going forward. Life is a dance, and the point of the dance is the dance itself. It's not a pilgrimage with a grand destination at the end. It is the dance along the way. And so many of us are wrapped up in our roles, our jobs, our titles, our position within a pecking order, that it's very easy to allow that to become who we are. And I got swept up in that earlier in my career. But I learned later in life that the most important thing we can do is to fully engage with whatever it is that we're doing in the moment. And all of those little moments stack up over time. And they may lead us to a grand destination. They may form the elements of a pilgrimage of sorts. But even the greatest leaders over the last 1,000 years become forgotten by the vast majority of us. The roles that we played, the achievements that we chalked up, are ultimately forgotten anyway. Every time I film near cows, they want to be part of the video. Don't you? You want to be part of my video? I love cows. And so this is why I focus very much on this channel on being very intentional about designing and then living our version of Act 2, because it's what we do each day and how enthusiastically we engage with it that really makes up the fabric of our lives. It's not the grand goal at the end of it, which is soon forgotten or superseded by an even grander goal. It's those little moments along the way that bring us joy, that bring us a sense of connection with the thing that we're doing or the people that we come into contact with while we're doing that thing. And that's what really matters. So for those of you, and there are many of you, who have written to me in the comments and shared the struggles and the endless doom loop that you find yourself ruminating over and resurrecting time and time again, the opportunities missed, the mistakes made, the chances blown, the failures, and we all have them. I just want to remind you all that, number one, every day is an opportunity to start afresh, at least in some small way. It's very hard to wipe the slate clean completely and start completely afresh across all elements of our life. But each of us can do one thing tomorrow that signals to the world. And when I mean the world, I'm talking about what's going on in the back of our head, our world inside our head. It signals to us that we are intentionally making a change. We're either letting something go, and more often than not, that's what it is. We're abandoning our attachment to something, or an ideal, or an object, or a goal, and we're saying, I'm casting my eyes in a new direction. I'm going to focus on something new. I'm going to become someone new. Or I'm going to become who I was all along, but I've denied all these years through my obsession with work and achievement and ticking boxes along the way. Because we're all forgotten in the end. And I think those who truly stand out are the ones who lived intentionally while they were alive. And this has kind of been my mantra ever since I started my photography YouTube channel, is that photography is an escape from the routine, the mundane, the obligations and responsibilities and the pressures that we all face. And that our most important goal, I feel, if we treat life like a gift, a 1 in 400 trillion chance of being born a human and not a cow, our number one obligation is to live while we're alive, truly live, to be honest with ourselves and live authentically and pursue the things that matter to us and to be of service where we can, because that's where the real juice is, that's where the real joy is. It's in making a difference, no matter how small, in somebody else's life. And if you can make that difference in the lives of people who you'll never meet, I think it's even sweeter, it's even more significant. So do what you can to focus on the here and now. Think very deliberately about what you want Act 2 to be for you, and start making some very deliberate decisions about what it is that you can do tomorrow when you get up to make a small but significant change in the direction that you're taking in just one aspect of your life. Recently, my son has gotten very involved in weightlifting and health and fitness, and he's completely transformed himself in a space of 3 or 4 months. And now he's planning out what he wants to do for a career. And he's only 14, but he's using the power of AI to help him formulate a plan and a career path to help him make some decisions in that regard, right down to books that he should read. And so he just recently told me that he wanted to get the book Atomic Habits, which I happen to have a copy of and I've read a couple of times. So he's reading that now. And as I was heading out to film this video, he had parked himself in the garage with that copy of Atomic Habits, his notebook, and another printout that he'd made on things that he wants to learn over the next 6 to 12 months. So he, at 14, is being very deliberate about who he wants to be, what he wants to do, and how he can improve himself just 1% a day. And I think that's extraordinary for a young kid. So we should be able to do the same. We might all be forgotten when we leave our job, when we finish up our career, but we can revel in the daily joy of doing something that is truly aligned with who we are, perhaps who we always were, and live while we're alive. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting on these videos. I read every single one of them and I reply to almost every single one of them. I really enjoy reading them, and I know they benefit other people too, as clearly evidenced by the number of comments that I see on other people's comments. So thanks for doing those. Thanks for contributing like that. It's benefiting a lot of other people as well. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.